Let's learn more English by talking about dog parks in the USA. Welcome to English Coach 3Ts. I'm Tanya, and today I'm going to start out with a little vocabulary that will help you as we talk about this topic. And this vocabulary is not just for dog owners. For example, the collar that a dog wears, which I'm going to show you here in just a minute, is also the same word when we talk about the collar on a shirt. The collar on this shirt is collarless. It doesn't have a collar. This shirt has a collar. Another piece of vocabulary is this. People often ask me, what's the thing you use to hold on to your dog? This is a leash. And on my leash, I have a doggy poop bag holder. A doggy poop bag is very different than a doggy bag because a doggy bag is what you might ask for in a restaurant if you want to take your leftover food home to your dog or to eat later. Either way, you could call it a doggy bag. You could also say that you want a to-go container or a leftover container. And here are a few other vocabulary words. Here we have Espy's collar, which goes only around her neck here. And this is her halter or her harness, which goes actually down in between her legs and around her chest. This is safer for her as far as I will connect the leash here so that if she pulls, it pulls here and not on her neck. The reason she wears a collar is because she has these tags. Here in the United States, every dog is required to be registered. This is her registration tag. Is that your registration tag? And then the other one was a tag I could find her with my phone if I needed to. And this she doesn't typically wear. She's been wearing this as we've been traveling because it's a flea collar, flea and tick. And we typically don't have fleas or ticks where we live. So she doesn't usually wear this collar, but she's wearing it now because we're in tick territory. Here in the United States, dog parks are super popular and you can find them in most cities and even some small towns. But like a lot of things in the United States, there's also some controversy. Before I get into the rest of the video and the vocabulary I have to share with you today, I want to remind you that I've made a vocabulary list and practice sheet for this video to help you learn more English. You can get this for free by joining my More English Club at the link in the description below. And you get the practice sheet not only for this video, but more than 20 videos before this one. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about why some people love dog parks and other people hate them. So let's go. When I say that some people love them and some people hate them, you might be thinking the people without dogs are the one that hate them. But actually, this is a controversy within the dog owning community. Some people with dogs really love the dog parks and go there often. Other people who own dogs think you should never go there. I wonder if you can guess which of these two type of dog owners I am. So, what is a dog park? A dog park is specific and different from a park where you can just take your dog. Dogs are allowed in most parks in the United States as long as they're on a leash. And there are some parks where they are not allowed, and typically they'll have signs. But a dog park is a specific place where you can let your dog off leash and allow them to run around and play. A dog park is fenced all the way around so that your dog will not get out. Your dog can't go out and bother people who don't want to be around the dogs. Or it also keeps the dog safe because they can't run into traffic. And there is a double gate at the dog park. So you come into the first gate and you're in a small gated area, and in this space you take your leash off of the dog, and then you open the second gate and your dog can go out into the park and play with the other dogs. This helps to keep the dogs from darting out the gate. To dart is to move quickly, and often we use this word to talk about a dog or a child or a person who is quickly moving through or out of something. But dog parks are not just for dogs. You have to be with your dog when you go to the dog park. And a lot of people like going to the dog parks because you will meet other dog owners or dog lovers. And often people make friends or even find long-term relationships at the dog park. You can find all kinds of people there with all kinds of dogs. And in fact, some dog parks are split into two for the big dogs and the small dogs. Most of the dog parks I have been to have this separation between big dogs and small dogs, but typically there are dogs in the big dog part of the park and like very few or almost no people in the small dog part of the park. My guess is because the big dogs need more exercise and they need more space, and often people don't have room for them in their home or their apartment, and that's why they're coming to the dog park. Also, I think it is somewhat common that small dogs don't like to be around big dogs, even in a park where they're separated, and so owners of small dogs don't bring their dogs to the dog park as often. So what's the controversy? Well, people who enjoy dog parks and would say that they like them and that they are a good thing will tell you that it's a good place to take your dog for exercise. A lot of people, like I said, don't have room at their home, and so the dog can exercise. And the other thing they would say is that it's really important for dogs to socialize, to see other dogs and even other humans at the dog park. The people who are not dog park people or even hate dog parks will say, yes, dogs need exercise, but it's better to exercise them in a more controlled environment, either taking them on a walk on a leash or having dog play dates. A play date is a term we use with children when you have a set time to get together with you and your child along with someone else and their child so that the children can play. And you can have a dog play date in a similar way, maybe at someone else's house. These people who really don't like dog parks or even think they're a bad idea will also say that yes, dogs need to socialize, but it's actually a little too much for them to always have lots of dogs and dogs that they don't know. Just like people, dogs prefer to be around people that they do know, their friends and their family. I'm curious what you think, and I'm curious if you have dog parks in your country. If you do, and even if you don't, do you think that dog parks are a good idea or not a good idea? Or maybe there's something we could do to make them better. Of course, I think there are almost always ways to improve things. But for me personally, I generally like dog parks, if you haven't guessed that already. I would say I might even like dog parks more than my dog Espy likes dog parks. And for this reason, I don't go as often as I would if I had a dog that really likes dog parks. Espy is a dog that definitely needed a lot of socialization because she had some issues when I first got her, since I rescued her from a shelter. And she does not like to be around a lot of dogs, and even playing one-on-one is not her thing. So I take her to a dog park occasionally, but even when I do take her to the dog park, I often hold her and allow her to sit on my lap for most or all of the time. Mochi, on the other hand, who is Tiana's dog, loves dog parks. And in fact, I think it's a really important thing for him. He needs a lot of time for exercise, playing, socializing. He has a ton of energy. And when we take him to a dog park, he is obviously so very happy. Now, having said that, even though Mochi and Espy spend a lot of time together, they really are quite different from each other, even when we aren't in a dog park. There are times when we have to give them extra time apart from each other because Mochi has so much energy. He's young, he loves to play, and Espy just really doesn't have a lot of tolerance for that. In fact, she will get angry and start to look like she's an aggressive dog if we expose her to too much energy, too much socialization, too much of really anything. Another reason that I really love dog parks is something I sort of mentioned before, which is the people. It's so fun to go to a dog park and talk with the other people about their dogs. And now that I'm traveling more, about the area where they live and that kind of thing. And this makes me think of another thing about dog parks, which is that for some people, they're the only option they have as a place to exercise their dog. And I think sometimes people forget that what may be something that isn't a good idea for you might be the only option for someone else, and vice versa. And so I think that this controversy over dog parks, or really anything, can teach us a lot about how we can interact and get along better, accepting each other and letting each other have the choices that we have that work best for our lives. Another one of our family dogs, Mozzie, loves to go to the dog park to see the different people. Even though he's a dog, he really loves people. And you can see Talia with her other dogs out playing with the other people while Mozzie is going from person to person and saying hello. Generally speaking, I think dogs are a lot like people. There are lots of different dogs with lots of different personalities, lots of different issues, and all of that kind of thing. And even though I said one of the things I enjoy most about dog parks, one of my more recent stories about a dog park involves a woman who was actually quite shocking for me, meaning I didn't expect her to be having that behavior, even after a while. We were going to a dog park we hadn't been to before, and when we first got there, it looked like there was no one there, which can be a real disappointment for Mochi because he loves to play with other dogs. But pretty soon we saw that there was a woman coming with 3 big dogs, and so we were excited that there were going to be playmates for Mochi. I noticed pretty quickly that the woman, the owner of these 3 dogs, kept holding on to one of them and pulling him back and saying things to him like she didn't want him to do anything to hurt Espy. And this, I have to say, did make me a little nervous, but I noticed that she was attending to the dog, and so we just continued on walking around the park and watching the dogs and having a good time, when suddenly this woman started yelling at me about Espy being an aggressive dog. I wasn't even sure she was talking to me because Espy was just standing there and was doing nothing that was aggressive. So I said to her, are you talking to me? Do you mean this dog? Because I was so surprised. And she was like, yes, ma'am, your dog is aggressive and you need to take your dog to the other part of the park. And I was just really surprised at how forceful and aggressive she was being. And she decided that she needed to leave. So she started getting her 3 dogs. And the whole time she was getting her 3 dogs, she was either yelling at me or using rude comments towards me. And I was pretty surprised about it because typically at the dog park, I meet very friendly people. And I've even seen dogs have big difficulties with each other, but the people remain calm and work together. So I was pretty surprised about this. But I think like anything, like I said earlier, there are all kinds of people. Who knows what was going on for this woman? One of the things she did say to me is, I live here and I should be able to come to this dog park, which implied that because I didn't live there, I should leave. Now, I'm thinking she knew I didn't live there because she saw me arrive in my school bus. And who knows, there could be all kinds of reasons why that happened. For me, of course, I started to get a story in my head, and that is something that I try not to do. Just realize that it is what it is and go about doing what I need to do to take care of my dog and enjoy the other people. Be sure to watch to the end of the video because I have at least one blooper to share with you. And if you're ready to learn more English with comprehensible input, be sure and check this one out next, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.